Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're having an amazing Monday and welcome to the Reality Bang. I'm RJ Yohann, your host for the session, and thank you for tuning in. That said, if you guys want to contribute to our topics or have any questions or just tell us what an amazing job you're doing, you can reach out to us at 6364 252164. Now let's jump right into it. Today's topic is my travel diary, where I'll be talking about my top 3 bike journeys in and around Bangalore. Also, if you have any interesting stories that you'd like to share, feel free to drop them down in the comments below. So, my very first trip was to a forest and riverside beyond Kanakpura. So, Kanakpura is a place where it's a little bit beyond KR market. So, you have to go through this sort of village-like area. And after you come to that village-like area, you have to take a slight deviation into a road, and further down that road you will come to the forest guard area where you have to, that's actually where you have to give your details, in the sense your name, your bike registration, your contact details, as well as your the timing you're entering. Like, they will note down the timing, and also be prepared, they are going to check your vehicles because obviously they have to keep the forest safe, and you're not allowed to carry any illegal products over there, like drugs, alcohol, hunting rifles, anything, any firearm of anything, crackers, none of that. And after that, you have to go through this sort of off-roading place. Little advice for those who are using two-wheelers: I will give you a separate route later on, but four-wheelers, you still have to be careful because the terrain is very, very rugged. So it's not like this loose gravel, it's like these solid chunks of rock, and you have to go on that, and it's not a straight downhill or a straight path or any windy path. So it's a mix of everything. So starting is just a straight path, then it drops down and it climbs up again, it takes a turn, it drops down again. So there's two specific locations you should be worried about, especially if you're going by two-wheelers. Like, if you want to save petrol, that is. If you're totally good with using your petrol, you can. There's a little bit beyond the turn, like way beyond the village area, where you find a camp, like a board that says a camp is there. So you take that road and you can pretty much go safely. It's just a tar road, and it's fine, but it's about, I think, 25 to 30 kilometers away from this turn. So I mean, proceed at your own thing. If you want safety, I say you go with a little bit extra distance. But if you want to get there quickly, if you don't want to waste too much petrol, you have to go here. But again, it's very risky. It's nothing is set in stone. But the path that is 25 kilometers ahead, that is a lot safer. And besides, you can see a lot more wildlife in that area. So I'll touch upon that little bit later on. So the first time I actually went to this spot was with 5 of my friends and his uncle, like one of my friend's uncle. So he told us about this place like the night before. It was on a Friday night because Saturday morning we left. So Friday night he was like, okay, so you know what, I'm going to take you to this place. All of you have vehicles, and I said, let's go exploring because I'm not going to be here for a long time. Like, he was literally leaving a week later. So he usually works in ships, like he works in the shipbuilding yard. So he had to leave a week later. So he's like, okay, let's just go for this last joyride. So we met around, I think, 4:30 in the morning, and first things first, like, to go to such places, you have to leave very early in the morning because this place is roughly around 150 kilometers away. It's around that. If you're planning to take the longer route, which I told you about earlier, like where you take the camp road, that is around 185 to 190 kilometers away from the city, like inside the city. So you just have to be prepared about it, and you have to leave early, because if you leave late, you're not going to enjoy much, because you have to come out of the area like by 4:35, because nighttime is usually when the wild animals come close to the river side, especially bears. Bears are very common in that area, and leopards as well is found in that area. So you just have to be very careful about it, and including elephants as well. So while I was going on the path, so I'll touch upon the path later, but first things first. So we left around 4:30 in the morning, and we met up with my friend's uncle around 5. So after that, we decided to go. So we hit KR Market around pretty early, I guess. I think around 6 or 6:30, something like that, because it was already full. It was pretty crowded actually. A lot of traffic was there. It took us around 15-20 minutes just to cross, like, I think a stretch of like 100 meters or something around that. So just be prepared to leave a lot earlier than you should. I would advise like leaving around 4:30 or around that, because it should get you there by 7, because it's a 2.5 hour 3 hour ride. So just be prepared for all of that. And a word of advice: do not take any eatables into that area, because first off, there are a lot of wild animals. Second off, that area is infested with monkeys. So you take any eatables over there, you're gonna be swarmed with monkeys. So don't do that. So yeah. So after we left, after we crossed KR Market, we came to this place where we had coffee. So that was close to 7. So after that, we took about 15 minutes break having the coffee, and then we decided, okay, now how are we going to go through this next part, because the next part was around 50 kilometers away to come into the off-roading area. So even my friend's uncle did not know the path that was later on discovered. I discovered that to my second time going to that place, which I'll tell you about it later, which has a totally different experience. But anyway, so I think around 10-15 kilometers from the point where we had coffee, we came to just a normal dhaba, like, where they sell dosas, idlis and all. It's a good place. It's a really good place. Highly recommended. You can stop, have your breakfast and all, because from there it's, I think, around an hour journey to reach the destination. Because it took us a little bit more than an hour, because we kind of did get lost around the path. Like, one of our friends, he deviated off the path, so you had to turn around and you had to go get him. So just make sure you stick to the route, and it's not pretty hard to find the place. You just go inside Kanakpura village. You ask anyone. You can even ask a police officer anywhere, and they'll tell you like, okay, you have to go here, and there's a road. You have to take a right, and you have to go straight. Like, stay on the path, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So after we went there, after we reached the station, so there's a ranger outpost over there. So over there we had to give our details. We had to give our bike registration. We had to give our phone numbers. We had to give our names and the timing we were entering. So this is where the true challenge actually begins. So once you cross the gates, but before crossing the gates, the ranger will give you a few instructions. You have to listen to that very carefully, because he says, do not stop, you have to keep going. If anything happens, immediately find a way to get up and keep going, because there are wild animals there. There are a lot of elephants over there, and you can literally see it when you come into those gates. You can see a lot of elephant dung and trees that are trampled by elephants. So you just got to be very careful at the end. And coming to the off-roading part now, this is one place where I developed a fear for off-roading ever since I went to this place. So starting we went, I was like pretty confident, because I was quite a good rider like on the road, but off-roading is a totally different, it's a totally different ballpark. So as you're going, it's just not, as I said, it's not one straight road. It's a lot of twists, curves, it's up, down. So while coming down, there was a stream ahead. So after crossing the stream, there was another down path, and I did not know it was a down path, because there's a tar road, like in between there's a half tarred road, like it's not completely tarred, it's just a little bit. So crossing that, I thought, okay, fine, the rest of it is going to be a complete tarred road. So I sped up to about 50, and then later when we came to the off-roading side, I dropped it to about 40, and then there was immediate drop. So it drops and then it takes up again. So in that drop, I was around 40, and coming down the drop is pretty unstable, especially if you don't have any off-roading tires, if you don't have anything. Basically, you just have to have off-roading tires to go to these places. So I didn't have off-roading tires at the time, the very first time. So let's say you're going straight, these stones are big and they will hit you off balance. So it kind of did that for me, and we were going at like around 40, so I did instinctively catch the front brake because my back brake wasn't, completely fixed because the brake shoe had gone. It had been worn out. I found it out much later after I gave my bike for servicing that the brake shoe had needed to be changed. So while coming, I did catch the front brake and we did skid. The only good thing that came out of that fall, like my friend, he's sitting at the back, he was holding my phone, my previous phone at that time, and he did one of the best flips I've ever seen, one of the best front flips ever. Like, these Olympic, in the Olympic games, like, you jump from a high place and you land into the pool, you have to do flips and they'll, hold the cards, like they'll rate you on a scale of 1 to 10, like based on your elegance and all. So he did 2 front flips and I'm like, if he went to the Olympics, I'd give him a solid, like, I don't know, 7 plus. But jokes aside, he did not get hurt or he didn't get injured, but my phone took a really bad hit. Like, the display had completely gone. Like, say this is a phone, okay? Let's just take, for example, this is my old phone.
You become a professional.
Right here, it had been completely dinged because he landed like that. So there was a rock right here. So it landed like that, and the screen completely shattered, and you can actually see the inside mechanics of the phone. So I could not switch my phone on. Like,
what topic?
It was a real nightmare at that time, but I did not know the damage that happened to my phone. I came to know about it much later after we reached the
big problem
site. So then immediately, like, my other friends, they came back. They took the turn and they came back to check on us. And I was just laying flat on the road, and because like my hand, like say the bike is like this,
you're doing
it
on
turned
condition.
when I caught the front brake and we skidded.
Video
So
also.
earlier I just fractured the hand like in the month of May, and this happened in the month of October, I guess. Yeah, in the month of October. So my hand was starting to swell and I felt a lot of pain in my left arm. So one of my friends, he switched over, so he decided to take me on the
maybe one portion
part,
if we can.
because I could not ride by any means. I could not ride. So
Laptop
after he took, it went kind of, he was very nervous. Like after we got there, you could see his hands. It was red. He had sweat. His hands were covered in sweat, and it was really a traumatizing experience. But it pays off. Like once we reached there, we had a real fun time, especially in the river. You can go in the river, but don't go too far because the current is quite strong. Like towards the banks, it's pretty chill, but to go beyond, like there's a middle type of a rock there. So if you go beyond that, that's when the current starts becoming too strong. So unless you're very good at swimming, which I doubt most people who go to these places are, and still I wouldn't recommend it because for the downstream there's a lot of crocodiles, alligators and stuff, even upstream as well. So this is the only place, like, where they allow people to go and visit. But then again, you just have to be very careful while going because the rocks are very slippery, and always travel in a group. Do not travel 2 or 3 people. You have to travel at least with a minimum of 4 people because monkeys are there. Obviously, they're gonna take your stuff. So we were a group of 6. Around 6 the first time we went. So we did have one of my friend's uncle. He was taking care of our bags, and he was chasing the monkeys away. They were relentless. They were coming. So you just have to be careful of those things, and also do not harm them because there are a lot of them. I'd say a minimum of 100 plus. So that's a lot. So do not harm them in any way. Do not throw stones. Do not pick up sticks. None of that. Just keep them away. Just chase them away, but do not throw anything at them, and do not take any eatables over there. Do not. That's a strict no. And so things went on pretty chill. So we were just enjoying the lake. I think for about half an hour to 45 minutes we were enjoying. Then after that we did pack our things and we did dry ourselves off, and then we got on the vehicles. Now this part was really stressful while coming. So after my bike met with that accident, so the handlebar is like this, so it bent. So the wheel is supposed to be straight, it turned. So unless I turned the handlebar like this, the wheel was straight, or else it was like this if the handlebar was straight. And sidebar that had been bent like a reverse C, like not completely, but it was like that. So it was a very difficult thing, and like I was sitting at the back. I let my friend ride because I was still not in a position to ride back. So while coming, like he was extremely exhausted. He was extremely worried about the entire journey, and throughout the time, like both of us are just praying, and we were like, please help us to just cross this place. Like after we cross, we have no problems. It's just a proper road. It's a straight road into KR Market, and from KR Market you can find your way back to MG Road or wherever you're going. So we were just going, and my God, like our friends in the front, like one of them was riding an Activa. Like I've never seen an Activa go that fast on an off-roading place. He never cared at all. He was going extremely well, and I don't know how that Activa actually survived. But word of advice: do not do that. Please don't. I don't know why he did that, but thankfully he never fell or anything. But he did skid a little bit. So do not do that. Like even if you have like off-roading tires, please just maintain caution and go down these paths. So then after we came to the main road, like I took over. Like my hand was pretty fine at that time, although it did swell. The swelling was there, and it still pained a lot. So then we came to this kind of another dhaba, which I highly recommend to have lunch there. It is really good. Like the omelets are really good. The food is really good. Like half of my group, they had, I think, dosa or chapati or something, and my friend and his uncle, like we had anna sambar and rice, which I say it's one of the best. It's really one of the best if you may see that place. It's on the way back actually, and there's a petrol bunk like roughly around 100 meters away, so it's pretty easy to spot. And also, don't worry about fuel or anything. Like there are a lot of petrol bunks on the way, so but still fill a full tank and then you go to these places, like just in case if you do not want to stop, because these petrol bunks are not going to be open 4 a.m. in the morning. They open like past 6:30 or something like that. So just be prepared on that. And yeah, do not pollute the area, because the second time I went to these places, this place particularly, like a lot of garbage was kept over there. A lot of bottles, a lot of plastics, a lot of chips, like the plastic packet of chips, biscuits, and a whole lot of clothes. So just don't pollute the area anymore if you guys are planning to visit these places. Like just keep the place clean, because of course we don't own it, neither does the forest department own it. It's all in nature. You just got to respect nature ultimately. So now coming to my second trip. Now this is a trip to the waterfall I had. It's called Tottikalu Falls. It's a little bit beyond TK Falls. It's within that vicinity of Kanapura. So this is around, I think, 38 to 40 kilometers away from Bangalore. So I mean, I stay in Lingapuram, like Kamnali area. So just around from there, it's about 30-40 kilometers. So we left around 4 o'clock. This time we left very early because we did not want a repeat of last time or anytime. We did not want to be late. So we wanted to wrap up everything like by afternoon or by evening at the latest. So, and while going to this waterfall, it was quite an experience actually. So after we came to the road we had to take, which led into the waterfall, like it was dark, and I mean absolutely dark. And that did not help. Like both of our friends, like one of my friend, he was riding, and another person was sitting at the back, and I was riding, and another one of my friends was sitting at the back. These two people, they were freaking us out. So we are driving. It's completely pitch black on both sides of the road. There are fields on both ends. And these guys like, oh yeah, you know what? Some ghost is going to come. Some animal is going to come. Something is going to come out at us. And I'm like, keep quiet. We need to focus. Because first of all, the road is not proper. It's not a proper tarred road. It's kind of uneven. So these guys are freaking us out, and it did not make anything better. So it kind of actually made it a little bit worse. But we did get to our destination. Before getting to our destination, like, because of how dark the roads were up ahead, like I suggested like we turn around and then we come back at the break of dawn, because we were around, it was around 5:15 or something, so the sun hadn't risen up yet. So while we made the turn, we found another two people who came, like a group of four. They were having two bikes and they came. So then we were like, okay, let's turn around, we'll go with them because safety in numbers, obviously. So when we reached the place, we obviously had to park our vehicles and all, and read the signboard. It actually says, "Be careful! Don't venture too deep into that area because again, it's part of the forest area. So don't venture too deep. And again, once again, always travel in groups, like at least more than four or more than four. Do not go in like groups of 3, 2. Don't even go by yourself. It's extremely risky. It's extremely dangerous. So safety in numbers is what will get you there. So as we were going to this place, we came across the waterfall. It was fine, but then we wanted to go higher. So we saw people like walk on top of the waterfall. So we also tried to do it. And word of advice again, make sure you have very grippy shoes. And I'm talking about hiking boots. So because you have to scale these rocks and they are quite slippery, they will make you fall. And just be prepared. Like don't wear tight jeans and go, like wear something loose, like something which you can stretch your legs and climb these rocks, because you're going to find paths where it's not so easy to climb. So you just have to be prepared for all of that. But I'll tell you, when you get on top of the waterfall, it's really worth it. The scenic view is absolutely amazing. And we went further in. We came to a little bit of a lake, and that was really good. Like the lake was clean. It had proper running water. It was really great. It's definitely something that is worth seeing at least once in your life. And we went a little bit beyond the lakeside, and beyond that, like it's really nothing. It's really nothing because the entire thing had been barbed out, because beyond that is much more of the forest area, and which would be dangerous because beyond that is like on the notice itself they're given, like there are leopards, there's elephants, there's jackals. And most of all, just be prepared for all of this. Like be prepared, focus, and do not do anything that is out of the necessary things. So when they say when they say take precautions and don't venture too deep into the forest, don't go against that, because it's kept there for a reason. And I'm known to do crazy stuff, but I've never gone too deep into these places. So because these are some things I have no control over. I don't have control over wild animals. They are not going to listen to me. So they are going to attack based on their instincts. So do not venture beyond what the parameter is given for you. So yeah, that's basically how the second trip went, and it was really quite good. I got some really good photos as well. So and but although you can't go into the waterfall, like because the terrain is not quite suiting, because once you step in the water, like you're going to slip, because these are very it's rocky. And once water hits rocks, it's going to cause a slip. Like it's going to cause the rocks to be very slippery, and that will cause you to slip. So just be careful on that. If you do want to go, I mean, you can put your legs in the water, that's fine, that's really fine, but do not go into the waterfall. Do not go and stand right in front of the waterfall or any of that, because if you slip, you're going right down. It just leads straight down, and I don't know where else it leads, because I know there's a drop and then it goes a little bit further and then there's another drop again. So just be very careful about that. Take the precautions, and once again, always travel in groups more than 4, or at least 4 basically, and more than that, don't travel less than 4. That's a strict no-no, especially to these places. Now coming over to the final top trip. Now this was once again my return to this forest area in Kanakpura. So this happened immediately after the trip to the waterfall. So we went to TK Falls, and we could not venture much in because like there's this complete fields over there, and we were too afraid to go a little bit further, because we did not know what was over there. We do not know whether it's a complete forested area, whether something is in these bushes. Like we had no clue about it. So, and we were only a group of 4. Like we didn't have anything with us. So, and plus there were no other groups ahead. So we just turned around and we came. So that's when we decided, when we were having a little bit something from the bakery, always make sure to eat something. Okay, don't go on an empty stomach or anything. just eat something, because there are a lot of places close by. Like, you don't have to worry about taking food, and you can just get from these places. They're quite nice. They're quite decent as well. So after that, while we were having food, like, we decided, okay, we will go back to the place we went back about 4-5 months ago. So I did not want to do it, but suddenly the words just slipped my mouth, because like we had nothing to do. I was getting very bored because I wanted to go in the water. Like, I could not go near the waterfall because there are too many people, and yeah, I don't want to remove. I didn't want to remove my shirt in front of so many people. Like, it's not cool. So we just went to this place. Now, getting to this place was a real task because we didn't have my friend's uncle to direct us. So we just sort of tried to find our way on our own, and we overshot the place by about 80 kilometers. So there's a specific turn you're supposed to take. We overshot it by about 80. I think it's around 60 to 80 kilometers we overshot it. But we came to regret it a lot later on because we turned around and we came back. But in reality, we just went like 10 kilometers ahead. We would have come to that camp board, and that is where the good road is. Like, not the off-roading road, the good road where you don't have to worry about anything. You just ride. It's totally peaceful. But do be careful because the buses are allowed on that road. So you just have to be a little bit careful about the buses, or else you're totally fine. It's totally fine. So we turned around and we drove 80 kilometers back, and then we found the turn we were supposed to take. Although we did ask, like, we asked around about 2 times. We asked a police officer, then we asked a seller who was close by to the area, like in Kanakpura village, and then they directed us to this place. And once we came to the the forest gate, and after we gave our details and all, I told my friend, like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I was very nervous. Obviously, I had a lot of PTSD hitting from the first experience. So, like, the whole ride to this lake from the off-roading trail, like, it was very comical because throughout the time I'm actually yelling to myself. I'm like, keep your hands off the front brake, clutch, let gravity do its work for you. It's very comical. I was repeating it on and on and on like a robot. So, like, it's still a very dangerous trail, and it doesn't help because twice these car riders, like, they came, and like, usually when a car approaches, the car should go slow and just slightly deviate, but they didn't do that. They came they came really fast, and they took the turn, and we were at the turn. So I did catch my front brake to stop because we were going to descend. So luckily my friend was sitting at the back, like, he's quite tall, so he did keep his legs down, and we were totally fine after that. Then after the car passed, like, our friends are in front, and they told us the same situation. Like, these car people, like, they should really take precautions while driving. Also, if you're having a car, if you see any bikers on the trail, do not go close to them. There is enough of space for a car to pass, so just go a little bit away and then you cross, because going with a two-wheeler to these places itself take a lot out of you, especially descending that drop. It's really nerve-wracking. You are gonna get nervous and all of that. So do not put those bikers in any more mental breakdowns. So that's a word of advice. And so after we reached the place, I was so happy. After we came down to the river, I was telling my friend, like, if it wasn't for you and God, like, we would have been totaled on that drop, because I think the drop, it went down and then it came to a flat surface, but the drop was about, I think, around 100 meters. Yeah, it was 100-meter drop straight. So if we did fall over there, it would have been pretty bad, to say the least. It would have been pretty bad, but luckily we didn't fall. It's all in God's hands, and again, thanks to my friend at the back. Like, it was really good. So after we came there, we did get in the water as well. We got a little bit away from the bank because there's a lot of people taking baths as well, so you do have to be careful about this. And once again, do not pollute the water, because the second time we came back there was again a lot of bottles, a lot of packets, and a lot of shampoo packets for some reason. Maybe they were taking bath or something like that. So do not pollute the water. Like, there's a specific location to take bath. Do not take it upstream, take it further downstream. Like, just before the drop, there's about, I think about 50 meters away. So that's where you should take a bath, because it's not disturbing the people who are upstream. So
Exactly.
that's a word of advice if you just do want to take a bath in the, or else you're totally fine. Just go take a dip, dip your feet, anything. And it's a very very good location to just relax as well. Like just sitting there and just looking at the scenery. It has a very good scenery as well. There are like mountains over here, and beyond that there's another ridge, and a lot of greenery is there, and the water is very cool. It's very nice. It's really peaceful. Also, don't go fishing there, because it's kind of illegal in that place. That's why they will check your vehicles, whether you're carrying anything. So don't even carry fishing rods or any of that. So just go there just for the sight, just to relax, just to have fun. Do not go there for anything else. And also, just once again, like, do maintain the rules given by the forest guard, because that is very very important. Like, about a few days ago, before we came, we did hear something, like something happened, like a person stopped to take pictures over there, and an elephant charged at them, but they did get away. It was totally safe. They did get away. It was fine. But just be really careful, be very attentive about these places, because these are places you have no control over. Like, we don't have any control over these places. So just be very careful about this, and I would suggest to travel that extra 20 kilometers away from the turning which takes you into the off-roading path. Like, once you go to that 25 kilometers away, like, you will get a proper road, and that's a lot more safer than going on this off-roading path. But you just definitely have to take it. If you're taking a two-wheeler, if you're taking a four-wheeler, still you gotta be careful, but do not obstruct the other two-wheelers that are taking that path. Like, always have care for them as well. Now, that said, that would bring us to the end of today's show. Remember, we air on Mondays at 4:30 p.m. That said, I would love to hear your feedbacks, insights, and ideas. If you want to get in contact with us, please reach out to 6364 252164. And a huge thank you to our listeners for tuning in. And also remember, stay safe and travel in groups more than 4, or at least 4. Do not travel anything less than 4. And keep nature safe. Like, respect nature, respect everything over there. Do not try to anger anything over there. Just keep your distance. They'll keep the distance from you. So that said, I would like to wish you guys a very very happy and successful week, and that would bring us to the end. This is RJ